Good morning, everyone. We're going to be working on order of operations this morning. We've been doing fairly good, and what you have to remember when we do this is you take your time. We've worked through all these steps separately, and now we're putting these steps together, and it's just one step at a time, just like when we did order of operations in, I think it was October. So anyhow, you attack it one step at a time. You don't get frustrated, and be patient. Review your rules. Don't worry about trying to get them done quickly. Try to worry about getting them done right. So remember before when we first started doing this and we were unsure what to do, we write down the word BEDMAS, and we know it stands for brackets, exponents, multiplication, division, in the order they appear, and addition, subtraction. You can write that on the side of your sheet. Then I said as a helpful hint, what you should do when you look at a larger question is underline what should be done first. And there's our brackets, so we're going to have to do that first. We don't change our order, so we still have to write this 1/4, and we're going to multiply, but we have to finish the stuff in the brackets. Inside the brackets is addition, and we should know from the many questions of practice we've done that we need a common denominator in order to add these successfully. So because there's 5 and 3 as two denominators, there's nothing, we can't use one of them as a denominator, so we're going to have to change them both. And an easy way to do that is just to multiply them by the opposite denominator, and that'll get you to it. So anyhow, I'll rewrite this question out. So this is 9 over 15 plus 10 over 15. And I have to write the rest out. Now, I'm going to write the rest of this question up, but I know when I divide something, what I'm really going to do is multiply by its reciprocal. So I'm not going to do it quite in this step, but I'm also going to take this 1 1/2 and put it as 3 over 2. I haven't really done anything with that question except get it ready to attack once I'm at that step. And I'll show you what I mean when I get there in a second. It's just a little shortcut you can do. Anyhow, there's 1/4, haven't touched it yet. Now I'm going to add 9 15ths plus 10 15ths, and that's 19 15ths. Anyhow, now I know I have to divide by 3 over 2, but I know that also means to multiply by its reciprocal, which is 2/3. If you do that, kind of changing them from a mixed to an improper, or getting rid of the division sign and putting it to multiplication and then doing the reciprocal, if you do that earlier on in the question, it just saves the amount of time you have to rewrite all of the steps out. You haven't really done that. You haven't changed order of operations because you haven't really done anything to the question except get it ready to be completed later. Anyhow, now I know I have to multiply that first. We do not need a common denominator, so 1 times 19 is 19, and 4 times 15 is 60. And I'm going to multiply that by 2/3. All right. Now anyhow, 19 times 2 is 38, and 60 times 3 is 180, and I know just looking at those that I'm going to have to reduce. I see that they're both even numbers, so 2 will go into the top 19 times, bring it all the way back, and 2 will go into 180 90 times. That is our lowest factor of that, our lowest terms. But I want to just draw your attention, that's a perfect way to do that. But we talked about cross canceling, and we're going to work on it more next week. Right when you're at this step right here, we could have reduced and said, because it's multiplication, you take add numerator and add denominator. I could say 2 goes into itself once, 2 goes into 60 30 times. And if I was to have multiplied then, what you would have found is I would have already got myself to my lowest terms. By reducing, by cross-canceling, cross-multiplying out, in this step, it saves having to reduce later on. So that's an option for you next week when we start doing those more and more. Anyhow, next question. Here's a question, no brackets in this one, that's interesting, but it's okay. Looking at order of operation, I know I have to multiply first, so I will be doing that. Keeping my work neat, 5/9. I'm going to subtract whatever this equals, multiply the numerators, 1 times 1 is 1, and multiply the denominators, 2 times 4 is 8, and I'm going to add 1/3. Now I'm looking at this, okay, I have a subtraction and addition, you do them in the order they appear, so I'm going to be working with this one right here. 9 and 8, unfortunately, like the last question, there's nothing that will really, I can't use one of those two denominators. That would be too simple. So what you have to do is you have to, a quick way to do is to multiply them by each other's denominator. So I'll multiply this by 9 over here, and I'll multiply that side by 8. So to rewrite that, 5 times 8 is 40, and 9 times 8 is 72. And I'm going to subtract 9 over 72. And then I write 1/3. I could easily have changed that to 72 as well in this step. Again, you're not actually working with it, you're just getting prepared. But here we go. 40 over 72 minus 9 over 72 is 31 over 72. Now here's where if we had taken that 1/3 and made it a common denominator of 72, we would have saved ourselves a step. I didn't do it there, so I have to rewrite it. I know 3 goes into 72. 3 goes into 72. Let's see, 30 is 10, 60 is 20, so 24 times. So this is times 24, and that's times 24. So when I rewrite this, I have 31 over 72, and 24 over, let me see, 72, obviously, that's what I tried to make it. And then let me extend my page here for you. 31 and 24 is 55 over 72. We're not going to add the denominators, they stay the same. And I believe that could be our lowest terms. 55 has only a few factors of it, and none of them besides one going to 72, so that one is done. All right, one last one. What you should be seeing here is, yes, the questions are longer. And I'm going fairly quick, but I know my math facts, and I can do mental math in my head, and that helps me. If you're constantly reaching for your calculator, like I've been telling you, is you have to get faster. And you have to get faster by practicing. There is no magic way to get better at your math facts, either multiplication or just simple addition and subtraction, than to do it. Just like when you read, it helps you develop your fluency and develop your comprehension. Same with mathematics. If you don't practice it and if you don't put an effort into learning the small parts of it, you'll be stuck going the long way around, using your calculator a lot more and just taking a longer time to do your math, which often leaves you to get frustrated and you don't like it anymore. And what you really should see about this question is, oh, I can do all these parts. It might just take me a little bit longer. And the more you practice, that little bit longer part will go away as well. Anyhow, lecture over. Here's a question. This one's interesting because I can see they're all mixed numbers. And what we did during all of our fractions up to now is whenever we saw a question start with mixed numbers, we put them into an improper fraction first. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to put this all into improper just to start the question off. Anyhow, I know that when I do this, I simply multiply the denominator times the whole number. So 6 times 4 is 24, plus 3 is 27 over 4. Still going to leave the division symbol. Now I'm going to do the stuff in the brackets. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11 over 3. And I'm going to subtract 6 times 1 plus 1 is 7 over 6. Now finally, when I'm looking at this, before I start writing out, I finally have a fraction where I only have to change one of the denominators. Because remember, when you add or subtract, you have to have a common denominator. So anyhow, when I'm looking at it, I say, okay, there's 6, and I know 3 goes into 6 2 times. So in order to get this ready, I just multiply that by 2. Anyhow, got to write this out again. Divided by, and I know that 11 times 2 is 22. I know that 3 times 2 is 6, and that's 7 over 6. Give myself more space. 27 over 4 divided by, and we're just going to simply subtract, so 22 minus 7 is 15 over 6. Now, the next step is divide, and you have to look back in your, or not look back, but think back, how do we divide fractions? Hopefully, right to your brain springs the fact that we have to change the division sign to a multiplication sign and use the reciprocal of the second fraction, which means flip it upside down so the old denominator is now the new numerator, and vice versa. So there is our numbers right there. Now, this is going to be a little bit larger math, but what I want to show you is I'll do it this way, and then I'll use that cross cancellation or the cross reducing first or second, and show you how easy it would be, or how easy it'll be next week when we start using it. I'm not going to force you to use it. It sure saves a lot of time when you have to reduce at the end, though. So anyhow, I'm going to try to do this in my head. So I have to multiply 27 times 6. I know 6 times 20 is 120. And I know 6 times 7 is 42. What I've done is chunk them into two different parts. So I have 120 plus 42, and that equals 162. And I know that 4 times 15 is 60. So now my problem lies is I have to find, well, first of all, I can change it into a mixed number to start with. That might help me reduce some of my numbers. I know 60 will go evenly into 162 at least twice, and that's 120, which will leave me 42 as a remainder over 60. So now what I have to do is find the biggest common factor I can between between 42 and 60. And just like we were talking about a little earlier, like just a few lines earlier, we know, put the 2 down, that 6 will go into 60 and 6 will go into 42. So that's my biggest number. Some kids would have started off at 2, and you would be right, but then you'd have to do it again. So anyway, if we knew 6 goes into 42 because you're quicker at your multiplication facts, that will be 7, because 6 goes into 42 7 times, and 6 goes into 60 10 times. And there's your lowest terms. So there's a great answer. If you look at the whole question, let me see if I can put the view where you can see the full page. Oh, that's not it. One more second. That's the button I was looking for. If you look at that question, I hope you don't say to yourself, oh, I don't like math, that's too hard, that's too big. That is a good grade 7 and 8 question. None of it is outside of what you are able to do or what you haven't been taught yet. Some of the numbers get bigger, but it's the work that you should be training your brain and gaining confidence in doing. Just because it requires 6 and 7 steps doesn't mean you should be shying away from it. You should be attacking these and being proud of yourself for getting something like this done. But anyhow, I want to show you a quick step to making this a little bit easier, and it is the cross cancellation, and that happens right here in this step. Anyhow, that comes right in here, right in this step. And what we're going to do is we're going to find add numerator and add denominator and a factor between the two that we can start to reduce. And you can keep doing it as long as there is you pull a number from the top and a number from the bottom. So if we were to get started, I would look, excuse me, and say, okay, what about the 6 and 15? I know 3 is a factor of both those numbers, and 3 will go into 6 twice, and 3 will go into 15 5 times. Again, now I look for any top and any bottom number that still have a factor, and I'm now looking at this 2 and this 4. I know that 2 will go into itself once, and 2 will go into 4 twice. So when I do that, there's no more factors. There's 27, 1, 2, and 5. There's no more numerator and denominator that have any common factors. So I simply multiply across, and I will get 27 over 10. And 27 over 10 simply is 10 goes into 27 2 times with the 7 remainder, denominator is 10. And if you see, that is this, and you've just skipped yourself a couple of steps to get there. Is it hard? No. Is it new? Yes. But you can do it. Anyhow, we're going to keep practicing and work on this next week. Good luck.